there, and welcome to Top 5 Nintendo, where we discuss Top 5 Nintendo. This season is, of course, the Pokemon edition. So we're just talking about Pokemon, and we have another objective-based list for this episode. The last episode was a lot of fun, where we just broke the numbers down and found which Pokemon were the tallest. It went magnificent. And I was like, wow, this is way easier. I don't even have to think. I just read the list. I wanted to do it again. It was genius. So I took it even one step further. This is, I believe this was over the course of 3 million test results to find the top 5 most forgotten Pokemon of Gen 1 specifically. So a little bit of background. There's a website called Sporkle. I remember using Sporkle like in high school to pass time, and they just have like every kind of list, and you have like 10 minutes, and it's like, what are, name 1,000 words that start with the letter A, and you see how far you can go. Well, they have a quiz where it's 151 boxes, and it was 12 minutes. They changed it to 15 minutes more recently, where you try to type the name of every Pokemon you could possibly think of in Gen 1. And there was, of course, the bottom 5 by a lot. There was like most people couldn't even think of this, even when they had 12 or 15 minutes. And it was kind of shocking. A lot of heartbreak is going to happen in this episode. Jake, do you have any thoughts? I told you, don't take the test. Don't even look at it. Don't even think about this quiz.
I didn't take the test. I kind of want to take it maybe tonight.
Yes.
I'm not going to do well, but it'll be fun to see. Thank you for... Oh, by the way, you didn't introduce me, but I'm here also.
Oh my gosh,
Co-host
I'm so sorry.
Jake.
Co-host Jake, thank you for being here once again, Jake. Thank you myself, the host,
it's a
Sam,
pleasure.
For being here.
Thanks for having me, Sam.
Of course. I couldn't do it without you. Okay, so
you did.
Go ahead.
Thanks for explaining that, because you said this is another objective episode, and I was in my head like, Sam, that doesn't make sense. How could you objectively say the most forgettable Pokemon, or the least remembered Pokemon? And you explained it, and that's actually a very intelligent way to come up with that answer. So I'm super excited to hear what these are, especially because you said there's going to be some heartbreak. So it makes me think like maybe there's 1 or 2 Pokemon that you wouldn't think would be on that list.
I can't spoil it. I cannot spoil it. You might be onto something.
I'm waiting for Pikachu number 1.
It's incredible. Oh, well, before we hop right into it, the top 5 most remembered Pokemon.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
Kind of insane. So this is actually off the top of my head, but Pikachu wasn't
in general or like all generations.
This quiz,
all generations or just one generation.
This quiz was just for Gen 1.
Okay,
it's for the Kanto region.
And is this episode just Gen 1, or are you saying
it's
only
just Gen 1?
I got you.
Yep. So it was kind of crazy. So the top 5 most remembered Pokemon, Pikachu wasn't number 1. Kind of crazy. Pikachu.
Can I make some guesses?
Yeah, please do.
Charizard has to be on there, right?
Charizard was, I believe, number 3.
Okay, sweet. Jigglypuff.
Jigglypuff was not in the top 5.
Wow.
I know.
Without Pikachu, it's hard to think what else, like Pidgeotto, but that wouldn't make sense to be more than Pikachu.
No, definitely not.
Squirtle.
Squirtle, I believe, was.
Okay, like tell us.
Okay, so it was like the starters and Charizard and Pikachu is basically what it was.
Oh, so Pikachu was in the 5, just
it
not
was in the 5,
1.
but it wasn't number 1.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought you were saying it wasn't in the top 5, and then I'm like, how is that even possible? What 5 Pokemon?
Well, it was like
memorable?
number 3, which is still shocking.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like the only one you need to know.
And is this like current? Like it's being updated, or it's like an old list?
So this list was as of 2016.
Okay, yeah. So it would make sense if maybe if it was like the internet didn't exist, whatever. But like when the game just came out, the first game, and like there wasn't the anime. then maybe.
Right. Well,
But
no. So you do
everyone knows
raise
Pikachu.
a good point because this was 2016, and the test was being taken mostly during Gen 6. So the Kanto starters did see more recognition in Gen 6 because you actually got them very early in the game. You
Okay.
get like 2 starters in Gen 6.
Okay.
You get the Gen 6 starters, and you could pick one of the Kanto ones.
So it's just on the top of people's mind because
probably
everyone
was.
still said Pikachu. It just they didn't say Pikachu first.
Right, exactly. Because
Okay.
Pikachu wasn't like you get it early in that game.
Yeah.
But like Charmander, you're actually picking Charmander as like a starter in that game.
Right.
So that made it, probably what people were thinking about.
All right. Do you have more fun facts, or let's just get into number 5?
I always have fun facts, but we can definitely jump right into number 5. So number 5, I'm feeling like maybe you're not even going to remember these, honestly, which is like
Probably
really
not. I'll be
ironic
ready to
and
Google.
funny. Yeah, please get ready to Google these. Okay, so number 5, we have Shelder.
Rings a bell.
Rings a bell. That's good enough. Shelder is the pre-evolved Cloyster.
Oh, how is this not a remembered Pokemon?
Right. So thank you for asking. Now I have a fun fact that I can share that is a little more relevant. So part of the difficulty in naming the Pokemon is that it's not good enough to just be like, oh, I kind of remember Shelder, like it looks like this, blah, blah, blah. You have to spell
You gotta
the name
spell it.
correctly, right?
I spelled it wrong while Googling it.
Exactly. so
yeah.
if you spend all this time trying to like type Pokemon name
Yeah.
and your spelling's just not coming to you, it's
Yeah.
not helping you.
That's fair.
That along with like I can't think of Shelder in an anime episode. I'm sure it's there. Like
Well, that's why I said I can't believe that's up there because I feel like this is in the anime, or maybe I just had like the Pokemon card and I saw it so much as a kid and it kind of got intertwined with the anime. I don't know, but I think it is in the anime quite
it
a
has
bit.
like it definitely has to be, but I can't remember the episode. So what I'll say about it is that I don't know the shelling instead of spelling. Spelling is actually kind of easy. Now as for the Pokemon itself, so it's a straight water type. There's a lot of water types in Gen 1. There's so many. We've talked about this before. It's hard to remember them all. Shelder is a very hard to use water Pokemon, especially in Gen 1. Like it really could not do a lot. It had like Clamp was its signature move at that time.
Yeah.
And I believe Clamp makes the opponent like stuck for 5 turns. Like they actually can't do anything, which is pretty cool. But it's really slow, and in special defense, it's really frail. There's so many water types that you can just use instead, especially water types that people just liked more, like getting a Magikarp and evolving into Gyarados. So I never used Shelder like in game. I feel like people were just like, oh, this is a water type. What does it even look like? It doesn't have a face.
Right. Looks like a shell. I'm remembering the Pokemon episode.
Tell me.
I Googled it to be fair, but as soon as I was reading it, I remembered because this is actually like one of my favorite episodes.
No way.
Where Team Rocket, so Jesse got Shelter, and Team Rocket was trying to catch Slowpoke, and they actually evolved the Slowpoke by throwing Shelter on its tail to turn it into the Slowbro, and then the Slowbro escaped.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
Wait, no, you're totally right. So that's actually, how are people forgetting that? Honestly.
Exactly.
No, honestly, I'm
Exactly.
flipping this. How are people possibly forgetting Shelder? Shelder is one of the like original, we see like Pokemon existing within each other type of situation.
And then the absurdity of like a Pokemon evolving with the help of another Pokemon. Because
Yes.
that's not something you see.
It's not, yeah, at this point, it's been done in other ways. Like it's been done since then. But yeah, and I found it kind of confusing actually, that episode, because in the game, that's not how it works. Like,
Not
you
at
don't
all.
need a Shelter to evolve
No.
it. Yeah. But it is interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't
And
know.
memorable.
Yeah, and it's memorable. I mean, honestly, shame on you guys. Literally, shame on you guys for whoever took the Sporkle quiz. And okay, yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say. At this point, Shelter's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I have no like frame of reference here.
Yeah.
Like with the rest of the list to see like how absurd this answer is, but we have 151 Pokemon
Yes.
on this list. A little discerning that this is 5.
Yeah. Literally, like, what percentage is that? It's like bottom. Oh, I wish I like took the percentages of where they landed. I mean,
That would have been interesting to see.
It's yeah. The giveaway is that pretty much all of these fall within like the 30+%. So they're around like 30 to 39% of people got these on their list.
Okay, so it's not like 5% of people got this.
It's not like people are remembering them, but it's only 1 every 3 people. I mean, you probably sought out this test and took it. Like you clearly think you know about Pokemon.
You definitely believe you know all 151 if you're taking this test.
And then forget Shelter. Come on, guys, get it together. Why don't you guess what you think these are going to be after these? I know it's going to be embarrassing because your guess is going to be horrible, and you'll have to think of 4 Pokemon off the top of your head. But it'll at least amuse me, and I'll laugh at you.
Well, you said the spelling thing, so I'm I've been thinking in that realm.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking was Scizor, was that Gen 1?
So Scizor was Gen 2, but
okay.
Scyther was Gen 1.
Okay. So
good
Scyther is a weird spelling.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It kind of is because it has the silent C. It makes you think of scissors, so you can kind of think of it that way.
You're kind of leading that's on the list.
But it's a scythe, but it's spelled different. It's not on the list.
Okay.
It's literally not.
Okay.
And I feel like Scyther was a cool Pokemon, definitely memorable.
Yeah.
And
I'm just thinking the spelling.
No, that was a good guess though. Yeah. So I don't think we've discussed this on the episode before, but what inspired Pokemon the game to exist at all was the creator was really interested in bug fights.
Okay.
Bugs fighting each other, because some bugs are really crazy and they one-on-one fight each other.
Yeah.
So you kind of see really aggressive looking bug types popping up, especially early in Pokemon.
Definitely.
So Pinsir.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yep.
I forget
Scyther, and then even Scizor.
Yeah.
Are as opposed to Goldeen, that's more of the chill, just meant to exist in the world. The bug types.
That's interesting.
The bug types were a little freakier looking, especially the ones you get later in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, that Scyther was hard to get. I wouldn't blame people for not getting, because I believe it was a Safari Zone Pokemon, and those were just so hard to get. But no, not it. Sorry, Jake. Number 4 is actually Kingler.
I don't know if I know this one. I'm going to Google it.
You see, the list is right. It's objective. I said this at the beginning. Jake's Googling Kingler to remember it.
Oh, the crab.
The crab Pokemon.
I would just call it the crab Pokemon. I wouldn't know its name.
So Kingler is a pretty decent name. I guess it's like a king crab.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the other half of the word would mean, but it's pre-evolved form Krabby. Hilarious name. It's a crab and it's named Krabby.
Yeah.
Probably easy to remember. It's a funny name. They didn't care too much about the names in Gen 1, I would say.
If I'm taking this test, I'm I remember a crab Pokemon. I'm just typing in Krabby because that's something it would be.
Yeah, crab.
Not
Krabby.
knowing for sure that that's the name, but I would be correct anyway. Krabby was in one of the earliest episodes. It's one of the earliest Pokemon that Ash comes across, if I remember, in the anime.
Yeah, and the crab Pokemon, they would make a weird noise in the anime. Yeah. They'd be like croaky. It would, do you remember that croaky? And then they made bubbles, and it's do crabs do that? I think
it actually might have been the first time Ash used the Pokédex to transfer to the lab. Transfer a Pokemon that he catches to the lab.
Jake,
I think Krabby might have been the first use.
Brilliant memory. I hope you're right. That'd be really cool if you just knew that off the top of your head. Kingler, yeah. So no, honestly, the spelling is pretty easy for this. My theory is showing pretty thin for this 5 and 4, but stick with me, guys. Kingler is another one of those water types. There's so many water types. Kingler is so hard to use in Gen 1 because it had really low special attack and really high physical attack. But it's straight water, so it really had no moves to use. You're just using Hyper Beam on this thing.
Yeah. Sorry for doing some Googling here.
Please Google.
It actually was a Kingler, not a Krabby, that he caught, and it was his 7th Pokemon, so it was the first transfer to the lab.
How are people forgetting Kingler?
Yeah, that's crazy. And I would have spelled Krabby wrong in my guess. I would have done the C, but it's a K.
Of course it's K.
I would have got it wrong,
Kingler
and then I would have
K,
moved on because I didn't want to waste time.
That's fair. I know. So, okay. I admit I did take the test. I was going to
wait until the second half.
I was going to wait until the second half, but I'm so excited. I just have to admit it now. But I'm not going to say anything until after break.
Yep.
Yes, okay. I have to. Spoiler, I remembered Kingler, of course. Kingler's cool. No, Kingler's really cool at this point. It has great abilities. It has sheer force. It boosts its moves. It boosts like liquidation and all that. And it makes it easy to use now. There's physical water type attacks. So it doesnn't have the issue that it did in Gen 1. But Gen 1, yeah, can't blame you for not using Kingler. Use Starmie instead. Literally, just use Starmie. It's better. Do you have any more thoughts on Kingler? Do you like it? Do you like its design?
Yeah, I mean, it's a crab, so I like it that it's like recognizable, like it's familiar, you know, and it's one of the earliest Pokemon, so like they're easing you into it a little bit. I clearly remember the episode, so I like that episode. I don't know if I have much else to say.
So what's cool about it is like, we were kind of talking about how, well, I was at least talking about how, you know, some Pokemon, you see them and they look like they're just made to exist in the world, build the world. You get, you know, Goldeen as an obvious example. And then there's other Pokemon that are meant to like draw attention to themselves. Kingler I think is cool because you can tell it has power. Like it has like those giant claws. Yeah. Like the claws make up the huge mass of its body. There's like, you should look up the sprite for Gen 1. Like it has the goofiest, I mean, they all had goofy sprites, but its sprite was like, it huge was basically claws. Just 2 claws and you can kind of see its eye. And that's like a pretty cool design idea. I like how it has like the pointy like head. It kind of reminds me of a crown, like it's Kingler. Not sure how far they really went with that. Like I don't think of it as like a very regal Pokemon. It kind of just looks like a crab, but a scary crab, a strong crab. I can dig it. I'm into it.
Before we move on,
please.
I need to apologize because it was a Krabby.
Oh my goodness!
In the anime,
Jake is
so what happened is this is Ash's Kingler. Bulbagarden.net, Bulbapedia, whatever website. So it's Ash's Kingler after 66 episodes of Ash's Krabby, but it's all listed under Kingler on the Wikipedia page.
No one can blame you for that. No one can blame you.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming clean. A weaker man would have just rolled with it, not Jake.
I don't want to lie to our loyal listeners.
And yeah, and I wouldn't want you to do that either. Okay, thank you for clearing that up. Kingler, I would believe it, yeah. Number 4, again, easy to spell name, honestly. So, yeah, my theory is proving thin, but not for long. Number 3, Jake, take a horrible guess.
Would it be all right if I guess after the break?
Please do.
All right, be right back.
Has this ever happened to you?
This video game is bullshit!
Are you tired of gaping plot holes and boring gameplay mechanics?
Look, all I'm saying is that if a full-fledged Krogan is falling off a platform, there's no way Commander Shepard has the upper arm strength to pull him up.
Has reading become just too tedious of a chore?
Ugh, books.
Are you bored of your same 3 murder podcasts?
Shocking. It's The Butler.
Allow me to introduce you to the brand new fan fiction podcast with an X, hosted by our lovely basement-dwelling and real-life Muppet, Dan McCoy.
Well, that's hurtful.
And myself, of course, the blonde bombshell with the blood of Odin and the great looks of Jake Busey from Starship Troopers.
That's accurate.
And with our powers combined.
No.
Oh, you never let me do what I want to do.
I said no, man. We're not doing that.
Fine. Anyway, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your fix from. Remember, fan fiction with an X.
Welcome to our new podcast. Welcome to our new podcast.
This isn't working.
Agreed. I think we're going to have to do it turn by turn.
Well, now that you mention it, we are a brand new RPG video game podcast.
Our very existence hinges on turn-based gaming.
So join us on the Turn by Turn podcast, where we'll be talking about
Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Golden Sun, Shining Force, Mother, and so many more.
It's your turn to come and join us.
And we're back. Okay, so like I promised you, I did take the test. I'm not all talk. I took the test a couple days ago because I was like, oh my gosh, I know everything about Pokemon. How am I going to miss any name? I have 15 minutes to take it. It's only the first 151. These are the ones I know. I'm definitely going to get these all right.
You got 117, didn't you?
I actually did. That was a really, really good guess. I did better than that, at least.
Nice.
Yeah, I did. I got 120.
Wow.
Out of 151.
Okay.
And I had 15 minutes. So
That's
shame.
impressive.
It's
You're
it's
hard on yourself.
I don't know. It's honestly, I think if you do the math, it's like I got like a 79.5.
That's impressive.
C's get degrees is what I always told myself before I
you
graduated.
round that boy up. It's a
You
big-
round that up. You tell the teacher, you round that up. That's 79.5. And okay, I'll take it. I got to be on it. So some ones that I forgot so that people can judge me and validate my experience playing this game is, here's a bad one. I forgot Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff. I was trying to think. I was like, what are like flagship Pokemon? And I missed the one that's in Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Literally shows up routinely in the anime.
At the beginning of this episode, I said Jigglypuff was probably the most remembered.
I know. I was kicking myself. I'm as upset as you are, honestly. And I know how to spell Jigglypuff. That was not my issue.
Okay.
I think it's because like my experiences. I think, well, what Pokemon do I use? I'm like, what have I used in the past 10 years? Like, no, I have not used Jigglypuff like in any game.
Yeah.
Like I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the show in a while. So that was a flop. The whole Poly line, right? Poliwag, Poliwhirl, Poliwrath. Totally forgot. Again, forgettable water types. Like, I don't know. I was just panicking. I wanted to do a good job. Bellsprout, that whole line, Bellsprout,
Okay.
Weepinbell, Victory Bell, forgot them. Honestly, a shame. Like, those are pretty iconic Pokemon.
Yeah.
Definitely in the anime. Victory Bell is like a pretty weird Pokemon that you can use like in the game, but is like okay. So I don't know. That's a shame. Oh my goodness! Wait, I forgot Kangler. I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking at this right now. I actually did. I was part of the problem. I forgot Kangler. But like I said, it's just like such like. It's there's just better water types. I remembered Starmie. Okay, I remembered Lapras.
Okay.
That's how it goes.
Good stuff.
I forgot Ditto, which is mad cringe. That's mad cringe. I'll give it to you. Ditto is crazy. But Ditto is the Pokemon that is another Pokemon. So, like, you don't see Ditto as Ditto a lot, right? Like, that sounds stupid, but Ditto exists to be other Pokemon. I guess it's easy to forget it. Fingers crossed. And then the last Pokemon that I'm upset that I forgot was the Clefairy Clefable line. Because I use Clefable all the time. Like, Clefable's always been like the best Pokemon of all time. And I abandoned Clefable by forgetting the line.
Yeah, that's sad.
It is.
That's a sad one.
It is. The Ekans line I forgot. The Vulpix line I forgot. Paris, Venonat. I mean, I'm bad. I'm bad at this game, obviously. Drowsy line I forgot. But now with that said, Jake, who's the third most forgotten Pokemon?
I feel like you said Wigglypuff.
Yeah, it's Wigglytuff.
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 I don't even know what this Pokemon looks like. Is that up there?
I think it was like in the mid range. It was in the mid range. Like it wasn't like close to being the least forgotten.
I didn't know Jigglypuff has an evolution.
Yeah, I mean, it's a horrible Pokemon. No one talks about it. No one cares about it. Just Jigglypuff was it.
Look it up.
And the spelling is kind of weird because it's Wigglytuff, right? And tough is Tuff. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't blame you guys if you forgot that one.
Odd looking Pokemon.
Yeah, you see it? Okay. But no, that's not it. Number 3 is going to be Execute. Oh my gosh.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very
Execute.
Like I would get that.
Yeah, and
It's the spelling, isn't it?
no, and I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Of course I remembered Execute.
Yeah.
Execute is very memorable to me because there's so much mystery behind this Pokemon, honestly. We talked about it. We actually talked about it
we
last
did.
episode. No spoilers. But it's crazy because it exists as like many Pokemon. Like there was the 3-headed Pokemon you've seen a bunch of in Gen 1. This one was like, what was it, like 5 eggs? This thing was crazy.
6 eggs.
6 eggs. Insane. Now, I did remember this Pokemon, but I could not for the life of me remember how to spell it.
That's valid.
It's Exeggcute. Like I spent I think I spent like 90 seconds trying to get it right and I quit. And then I came back to it at the end and I still couldn't get it.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I would have. I feel like if I guessed enough, but I wouldn't waste so much time trying.
Yeah. So
I know it has this weird spelling, so I would probably give it a few goes.
So exactly. So that's a thing. And then on top of that, like it's not a super cute Pokemon.
No.
Like it's an interesting concept. like a bunch of eggs that all have faces, and they like, I guess, like telepathically understand each other.
Yeah.
But like, Game Freak, what were you doing? Execute? Like to kill?
Yeah.
It's eggs with faces on them.
Yeah.
These are Easter eggs. To kill, but cute. Like it's interesting.
Yeah.
I explained it, and now I think it's really awesome. Execute, but cute at the end. That's awesome. Now I take it back. But it's not like they're not cute. Like I don't get it. I feel like there was like it was too big brains. This design.
Cute. Yeah.
It's grass and psychic type, which I guess like it had to be that. Like
Right.
eggs are like nature, grass, and then psychic because they all telepathically like are one.
Yeah. I don't know what else would be.
But it's like what? Okay, so I catch the execute and do what with it? Like pretend like you're a 5-year-old playing a game, and you see 6 eggs, and you catch them.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to teach it what headbutt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's explosion.
Right.
I don't know. Like I would probably just like get rid of it. Honestly. Do you have any thoughts on execute? Do you like this Pokemon?
I mean, I guess I like it. You're really like throwing it under the bus, but
I am.
I think it's very like it's weird, but like it's creative design. Because like did they have eggs at this point? Pokemon eggs?
No.
Okay, so
Yeah,
this
they
was
didn't.
pre-egg, so it wasn't even like it was original for them. This was only like egg poke. Are you? There's like cocoons, right? But like Caterpie and whatever like turns into.
Well,
like,
when you say did they have eggs yet, you mean like the birthed eggs,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
in Gen 2, they
Yeah.
invented like baby Pokemon
Okay, that
so
was
you
Gen
can
2.
breed and then have Pokemon
Okay.
eggs. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I don't know. It is weird because if they didn't have eggs, it's like where did all the other Pokemon come from? Where did they come from? You know, because
So-
they are eggs. Did they come out of one big egg?
No, exactly. Like they wrote themselves into a corner because execute hatches from one egg.
Yeah.
It does.
It
you
actually
play the
does.
game and
Okay.
it hatches. You breed Executor, you get an egg that hatches into Execute. It's
Okay.
eggs within an egg. Mm-hmm. What came first, the egg or the egg? Like literally, exactly. I know. They wrote themselves into a corner. No, but you're totally right. I do actually I think it's pretty crazy now I think about it.
Yeah.
I think it's
it's pretty bonkers of them. They went for it.
I think it'd be way funnier if they knew that they were about to have you like hatch an egg and it'd be 6 eggs. You know, like that would be crazy. But they didn't know they were going to do that.
They didn't know.
So this does lead me pretty well into the number 2 pick. You can take
I
a
was
guess.
gonna
It's going to
say-
be very obvious.
I was gonna say it has to be Executor.
It has to be
right?
Executor. Yeah. Executor is maybe an even more difficult spelling. Because at least execute, like, you know, the word cute's going to be into it.
Egg is
I
in
don't
there.
know. Wow. So Executor, I think it's like marginally less remembered. Like it's the second least, but that's kind of a shame. Now, okay, semi spoilers. We discussed this in a recent episode. Executor.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder. Like, wait, they made a regional form. They made a lowland Executor, even though apparently no one can even think of this Pokemon, even if they had 15 minutes.
I think a lot of it's the spelling, but yeah.
Yeah, because this I don't buy. The design's crazy for this.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Like you can picture a giant tree with like a bunch of eggs on it, and they all have heads, and they're tall and powerful, and like I can get behind that. Executor is crazy. We talked about him, and I don't know. Like I kind of already talked about how I think he's like really cool, and he gets the harvest ability, so he keeps like regenerating his berries if he holds one.
Yeah.
A lot of cool things this guy can do. And psychic types were so good in Gen 1. So this was actually very usable. Like my excuse for Shelter and Kingler was that they're really boring to use in Gen 1. Mm-hmm. That's not even the case for Executor. I don't know.
What makes him good?
So the psychic typing was really great because all that you had to beat a psychic type was just throw out your own psychic type and just have them like resist each other.
Psychic didn't have weaknesses in Gen 1.
So psychic was weak to bug, but there was like one
You
bug
didn't
move.
use bugs,
No
really?
one,
Yeah.
and if you no one used bugs, and if you did use bugs, you weren't using a bug move. You'd use like hyper beam or something. So that was like your only thing. Ghost types were supposed to be strong against psychic,
Okay.
but they coded it wrong.
I feel like you mentioned that.
I think I did mention it. They coded it
But go
wrong.
ahead, yeah.
And so it was like, I think Psychic was immune to Ghost instead.
Yeah.
But that never even came up because there was like one Ghost move in Gen 1 and there was one Ghost line. Gengar didn't use Ghost moves. It hit for physical. Gengar has no physical power. It's a special attacker.
Right.
So if you're using Gengar, you're just using like Mega Drain and Thunderbolt and Hypnosis. So Exeggutor was crazy. And let's say, you throw your own Psychic type out, right, to counter the Psychic type. Well, if it's Starmie, it loses Water to Grass. If it's like Hypno, then you can still hit it with your Grass for neutral, and it can't do as much back.
Right.
So pretty cool. It's a pretty good Pokemon. Shame on you all. Shame. What are your thoughts?
I mean, you nailed it. We talked about this in the last episode or 2 episodes ago. Like the Pokemon Exeggutor. Pretty cool Pokemon. Pretty cool. What would you call it? The new version that they made of him.
The Alolan form,
Yeah,
the regional
yes,
form?
the new form, yes.
Yeah.
It's a creative design. If you really want to hear us talk about it, it's in one of the previous 2 episodes. But overall, cool Pokemon. I don't think I've ever actually used him. I don't think I would remember most Pokemon, to be fair, if I took this test in 12 minutes. But probably wouldn't be on the list for me. It makes sense that it's top 5.
Okay.
To me, at least. But this is what was number 1? Number 5. Sorry.
What was number 1? Nice try, Jake. Not yet.
Tried to sneak that in there.
Number 5 was Shelter.
Shelter, yes. That's making me retroactively question that being number 5. Some people are really dropping the ball. You said it's like 1 in 3 though that are getting it, so it's like not too bad anyway. But I feel like it's weird that would have been number 5.
Here's how I see it. If there were any Pokemon on this list that people like only 5% were remembering, it's like, woo-wee, like you guys did a bad job, right?
Yeah.
And it's like such a big franchise, right? It's like the number 1 grossing franchise. This is the original generation. All these Pokemon essentially have been showing up over and over again. Like at this point, they would have had to really mess up for people to not remember. 1/3, I'll take it. But this is a shame that this number 1 got its number 1 place. Jake, do you have any guess at all? You're not like, I don't know. I don't want to. I was gonna say you're not gonna get it, but I don't want to say that. I think you are actually going to guess this number 1.
Could you give me a hint?
It starts with an L.
You mentioned Lapras.
It's not Lapras,
before.
but very good guess. It's very close to it on the Pokedex, I believe.
I can't think of any other.
It's actually not close to it on the Pokedex at all. Just one. Lapras is your
Lapras
guess.
was my guess.
Okay.
I don't know any other else.
Of course, people remember
off the top of my
Lapras. What are you
head.
talking about?
Well, yeah, but
Lapras was like.
I'm saying I can't think of any other else. You mentioned Lapras earlier.
That's okay. I was just trying to
That's all I
publicly.
have.
I was just trying to publicly embarrass you. Was all that really was. Okay, so number 1, I'm going to go ahead and say it. It is Lickitung.
Oh, wow! That was like one of Team Rocket's Pokemon. I
Oh yeah,
believe.
I forgot about that. Did not no, but actually did forget about that. Like
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I can see it now. It would like lick, and then you'd be paralyzed from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lickitung was okay. So obviously the spelling is very difficult, especially if you're a kid, and the phonetics of the word are a bit odd. So it's licky tongue, and tongue is spelled T-U-N-G instead of how tongue's normally spelled, right?
I spelled it so wrong.
Exactly, and then you might think like lick it tongue, like how like you might just say lick it tongue, but it's
Yeah.
licky tongue. So
They're getting clever with it. They said we can't make it too obvious.
they can't make it too obvious, but it's also like no one can spell this word.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
Yeah.
I'm sure our genius listeners are fully capable of spelling it, but it got last place, guys. Like people
Wow.
cannot remember this Pokemon. It's a super odd design, and I feel like odd designs will either like really stick with people or maybe become unrelatable and forgettable because of that. It's like kind of monochromatic. Like it's just pink, isn't it? It's like the color of a tongue.
Yeah, pretty much. The whole thing's like pink and it has like stripes on its stomach.
It's kind of amorphous. Like you don't really know what you're looking at. It's not like an anteater, right? And it's not like super humanoid like Jinx. It's just a vehicle for a giant tongue. Is that like, is it funny? Like, it's funny. It is funny. I'll answer that. And especially to kids, I think it's funny for like a giant thing to just like lick people and then they'd be paralyzed. But it's weak in the game. It's a weak Pokemon, honestly. That's why they gave it the evolution. Little Licky, also impossible to spell.
Yeah.
And kind of difficult, if I remember correctly, to get in Gen 1, so not a lot of people were really using it.
Yeah, I don't even know where it would show up.
I think it was Safari Zone again.
Okay.
But
Makes
I don't
sense.
even really remember. So yeah, it's a shame. I mean, it could have been good if it had better stats. There weren't a lot of great fighting types in Gen 1. Normal was really good. Like I keep talking about Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam was like the best move in the game. But they just made it really hard to get, really hard to spell. You have no clue what you're looking at when you see it besides just a giant tongue. Of course, now you're saying the anime, and I'm starting to remember that. That was pretty iconic, that whole thing. It was a great bit. So I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts about this amorphous blob?
Yeah. I mean, once again, this is one I probably would have remembered, but just because of the anime.
Genius.
So I don't know like how many people actually. I feel like a lot of people watch the anime.
A lot of people watch the anime.
But I don't know. Maybe the people taking this test probably play a lot more of the games than watching the anime, like yourself. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't take this.
No, that's an interesting point. I don't know if we've discussed this on an episode yet. So because it's kind of related, I could say it now. We talked about it. What came first, the anime or the?
I think
the
we
game?
said the game came first.
Right. So we said the game came first. I did a little bit more looking into this, and I'm right and wrong. Duality of man. I know. In Japan, the game definitely came first.
Okay.
Which made sense. Gamefreak was small. It was like a small group of developers, and it was kind of considered a risk because, of course, there were JRPGs at the time, but not like to this scale, you know. And it did so well in Japan that they planned like a giant Pokemon attack for the world.
Okay.
Right? They just knew it was such a hit that they were just going to attack from all ends. So it was perfect. Gen 1 was like, they had everything set up for themselves. The novelty was brand new. No one really saw a game like this before, especially in the States. So we got the show and we got Gen 1 and we could reenact what we saw in the show in a game. And everyone was watching the show when it came out and playing the game at the same time.
Yeah.
So that magic never really happened the same. And I think that's why it's so easy to connect that game, these Pokemon, with that show. And less of an excuse to forget Lickitung.
Yeah, I think if this quiz was like from like 2003, I stand with you on that. But since like up to 2016, I feel like people aren't remembering or didn't watch the original seasons of Pokemon and might be playing the games.
Absolutely. And honestly, I wish I had better stats because I could be like, oh yeah, Lickitung is like impossible to get in Gen 6. It was probably like post game or something.
I wanted to ask you on that.
Please.
If you know, did Nintendo own Game Freak when the original Japanese game came out?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Or if they didn't own, like, I don't know what kind of like specific business word it would be, but like Nintendo was definitely publishing the game and Game Freak was like working under Nintendo. Right.
Okay.
They made like a couple of games before it, and I'm pretty sure for Nintendo systems, and that's how that relationship existed.
That's cool. While you were talking, I quickly Googled the 151 Pokemon.
Yes.
And I wanted to just say a few that I never would have guessed.
Okay, please do.
Dratini.
Insane Jake
What
forgets.
is that?
Dratini's the first form of the Dragonite line. Dratini was like super, super hard to get, but what you would do is you would do the gambling area, and if you had enough points, then you get Dratini. So you could basically like pay to get Dratini, which was amazing.
Kabuto. That's crazy. I'm watching Naruto right now.
Yes. Kabuto. Well, that's because Kabuto is like a Japanese word.
Yeah.
I think it's a hat. I think a Kabuto is like a hat or something. I'm probably so wrong. This is embarrassing, but I'm just going to go with it. So that's why it exists like in Naruto and in Pokemon. That's the fossil Pokemon. There's two fossils, Kabuto and then Ammonite.
Mm-hmm. That is sweet. I definitely know the Pokemon. I forgot about it until I just read it and saw the picture next to it. Let's go down the list. All right, a lot of these I feel like I don't think I would guess most of these, to be fair, but looking at them, instantly remember them. Something like Seadra, the evolution of Horsey.
Oh yeah,
I wouldn't know the name.
That was another, I'm going to call it a world-building Pokemon. And then they made Kingler in Gen 2 to kind of fix it up, add to the dragon types. Kingler is a classic. Seadra, very, very forgettable.
Yeah, fair enough. Continue down the list. Yeah, a Cloyster, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Muck. I probably wouldn't remember. Like, I obviously know Muck,
Right.
but wouldn't think of it, let alone, like, spell it correctly.
Because it's a glob of trash.
Yeah. Dugong, the evolution of Seal. Definitely wouldn't get that.
Oh, I totally got that one because I love complaining about how Seal is a seal and its name is Seal.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, and then Dugong.
But it's spelled with 2 E's. Throwing you
Trust
off
me,
once again.
Jake. I know it's spelled with 2 E's.
You mentioned this Victory Bell.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed the spelling. I actually thought you were saying Victory Bell every time you said its name.
Exactly. That's why I didn't get it. I'm like, can't even remember. Weepin' Bell? It's not Weeping Bell.
Yeah.
Weepin' Bell.
All right. Quickly scrolling through the rest. I think that's like the really weird ones. Well, guys. Yeah, I might try taking this tonight. Maybe I'll like tweet what my score is when you were listening to this, or maybe I'll wait until the episode comes out. That
There
would
you
make
go.
more sense to tweet what my score was.
Absolutely.
It would be awesome if you guys also took it and tweeted it at us what score you got if you take this quiz. And Sam, I guess you should also tweet it when this episode comes out. We'll
I'll have to.
remember how to do that.
It will be
Or
my
remember to do
second
that.
try, and I swear I am getting all 151. I'm going to post the time. I'm going to get in like 3 minutes.
You should start speedrunning this.
I'm going to start.
I'm sure people do it.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Fun episode. Another objective little episode we did.
Another objective. So no arguing because we are right.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be cool to see how you guys do on the quiz. Thanks for once again teaching me about Pokemon, Sam. If you want to follow us on the socials, it is at Top5Nintendo, the number 5 at Top5Nintendo on Instagram and Twitter. If you want to shoot us an email with any questions or episode suggestions or anything like that, it is at Top5Nintendo. Oh, not the at. Top5NintendoPod at gmail.com. I always do that. Top5 NintendoPod at gmail.com. Sam, what are your social media accounts?
On Instagram, I am Sam __ and then my last name spelled ANSA. Did you say your TikTok?
I didn't say my anything yet. I just asked you what yours are.
Thank you for asking, Jake. And then my TikTok is going to be Mark Greg Sputnik, all one word. Sputnik is SPUTNIK.
Sweet. My Instagram is at Jake Naroden, NARODEN, and my TikTok is at JakeNBake9. We would appreciate so much if you could give us a quick review. 5 stars would be sweet. Comments and whatever else. Give us some feedback. We'd love to hear it. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Peace out.